And now I switch to English, and I actually see our next speaker waiting, Dr. Bijoy Jacob, and he is Vice President and Group Head of COE Blockchain at Deutsche Post DHL Group. And we all know Deutsche Post and DHL from the Corona pandemic very well, I think. But now we will learn from you about the Deutsche Post's business in the healthcare industry and the solutions you provide. So I'm really thrilled to listen to what you have to say.
Thanks, Reggie. Highly appreciate it. So looking forward to hear questions, and also we'd like to share some very interesting views about how we see this technology of blockchain actually changing the industry quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I would say you can start with your keynote, and then we have maybe time for one or two questions afterwards.
Brilliant. So good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be with you in web to give you some insights of how blockchain and how DHL is using the blockchain technology for different sectors. So to start with, the primary discussion of blockchain is about how can you have information which is visible by multiple parties across a supply chain. Okay, so today, if you look at the industry, we have so many middlemen, mediators, we call it the mediators. But if you look at the data and the importance of data in the industry, it's very evident that everybody like to keep this information to themselves. And there should be a technology, there should be a solution that each individual partner can keep their data, and while they can use the data for communication with others also. So efficient processes comes with efficient information or highly valuable information. So a position of a container. So if you look at it, DHL has been very much involved in the whole logistics space for vaccine shipments, but also in others, like supply chain areas of business, right? So if the e-commerce has moved so fast, the logistic industry is also moving in that space. So the possession of your goods, the proof of possession, for example, for corporations, the documents which is journeying with the possession of goods, customs clearance, consolidation of goods and breaking of goods. So these are things that the business needs, irrespective of industry, whether it's you're an auto manufacturer, whether it's you're a sponsor, whether it's you are a Medtech company. So this area is of huge importance in the industry, and particularly blockchain connects. You might have heard of the word smart contract. Smart contract is actually intelligent business logics. You can add on intelligent business logics, detouring shipments if in case a trade lane is blocked, or rearranging warehouses if the warehouse is still packed. So there are many ways to use the smart contract technology in this blockchain space. So DHL has been working on this space for the last 2.5, 3 years now. And we have been in the blockchain space for a long time, actually since 2017, 2018. You might have seen our first trial in 2017 for clinical supply chain, or we looked at areas where we worked with many of our business partners to do a serialization project. And that was our first trial. But now we have moved much, much farther into a space where we are highly into one sector-ways. That means in the Medtech, in the auto manufacturing, in the e-commerce industry, in the logistics, we call it the 3PL and the 4PL industry, and also in finance. So our interest is every sector has an opportunity with this technology to work with. Behind the scene, you can also see there are gray boxes where you have a network of customs, a network of ocean teams, a network of air, a network of warehouses, and a network of transport, road transport or rail transport. So these networks are very important for us to provide this insights and information into our customers. So we have very solid customer base. Around 16 customers have come and worked with us so far from different industries. We also have strong Medtech representation from the customer base. So if you look at clinical supply chain, clinical trial supply chain. So in a traditional clinical trial supply chain, we always did the pick, the pack, and the dispatch. But from an IRT, that means a request for a batch to be created, to a central lab, to a sponsor, and from there, the journey into the last mile to a clinic, and maybe a third-party company, a lab, and from there, storage of the clinical trials units in different places. This is an end-to-end supply chain service. We, as DHL, particularly our product called Bless, is supporting our customers, our business partners, to work together to create this network so that the moment the IRT requests are ready, the central lab is automatically able to work with the sponsors and also the transportation organizations. What we have done so far is we have made it very neutral so that none of our sponsors do not have to worry whether this is a DHL blockchain or not. So what we have done is we have created what we call a node, a solution for each party. And this solution sits on their environment. Once the solution sits on their environment, all the information is their own. They can add on multiple, for example, couriers, multiple air transport gateways, multiple labs, and multiple biorepositories. The outcome is they have a single space to see all information about a batch for clinical trial until it is tested, tried, information shared, and also kept in the biorepository. This is the simplest example of how blockchain is changing in the logistics space. We have seen many, for example, we have seen many consortiums that's coming up. Pharma Ledger is a brilliant example. We work with Pharma Ledger team as on the logistics space for with our partners. MediLedger is another one which has been in the US. So the industry is moving into this space. And how and why is the industry moving? It is, in a nutshell, the industry is looking for transparent tracking. That means, how can I track my shipments at one place? How can I see my shipments viewed in one place? Can I see the temperature sensors? Can I see whether there's all the documents which are ready, which are needed for the shipments available? Let's say creation of a product, whether it's a tablet, whether it's a pharmaceutical product. This needs to be moved from place to place, and this needs to be secure. When you have a secure shipment process, we also need the information to be passed through. And that's why this single picture will give you some insights of where, for example, a customer is looking for a shipment which is moved from one country to the other. They like to see with their information of the invoices, where is the shipment? And they can highlight what are the latest status, what is the temperature control that has been used, and also if there's any blockades and details. The industry has gone further. If you closely watch, there are regulations that's coming in. For example, the US DSCSA, FDA Regulatory Act is coming in 2023. It really talks about the transparency of shipment, whether it's an inbound supply or whether it's an outbound supply. The information of all the goods has to be shown to the regulators. That means clear transparency. There are also UICH annexes is coming in. There are many other services that's regulatory compliances that's requested. If you look at Brazil, for example, Singapore, Dubai, Asia, primarily in Asia, a lot more regulations are coming. Consider the case that every company, every one of these companies go to every country and create a solution or work with partners for a solution. When you work with partners for a solution, there are many things to be looked into. One is legal requirement, two is technical requirement, and also the integration of technology. Most of the time, the business always ignore the fact of technical integration. This is where DHL thinks, since we know the industry, since we are able to work with multiple suppliers and partners across the industry, we are in a very good position to help out with this technology. So our thought process and our work is to a one-stop shop for our customers. For example, if the customer goes in and they see multiple use cases, for example, finished good traceability, temperature, humidity, anti-counterfeit information, supply chain traceability, or let's say transportation risk. Anything you have, we are able to connect behind the network and give the customer the valuable information. So the customer has to go and log in. They can look at any suppliers behind any region, and these regions are connected to the blockchain network, and we are able to give this information. For example, a clinical supply chain traceability can be done globally in different batches, can be run across different parts of the world. Same goes to healthcare transportation. Same goes to whether it's vaccine shipment or even electronic product information. The moment today, the industry's biggest challenge is electronic information being secure. Think about the scenario. Since 2019 to 2021, the amount of internet hacking for data has increased or tripled. Now it's around 23% of industry data is being changed or fragmented by usage. So that means there is a need for security. There's a need for more control over this electronic information, whether it's a data, health data information, whether it's a patient information, whether it's a product information. So the more we connect this network together, we are able to support our business partners, our customers, and our customers, consumers with this service and solution. With this, I pause for any questions so far.